Gmail or through your email service provider, such as ActiveCampaign or Light or Constant Contact or Klaviyo or whatever. Why is this useful? Why would you need something like this? Well, there are a lot of different scenarios in which you might want to do this. One of them can be if you are managing a course. For example, let's say I want to create a course, Zapier 101, right? So I would grade the students, and then based on their grades, I could say if they're eligible or not eligible for a certificate. Another option would be if you're an accountant. So a lot of accountants are still using Excel sheets or Google Sheets or any kind of spreadsheet. And when you use something like that, there's a lot of data and there are a lot of numbers and there are a lot of ways where this might go wrong. There's a lot of room for human error in copying and pasting the data. It's row by row and it's tight and a lot of information, a lot of data. And so when you're doing that manually, there's a lot of human error. So automating this will not only save you time, but it will also save you that fear of making a mistake. Other applications can include having contests or forms that are filled out and you want automated responses to those forms. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can go about this, but this is just one of them, and I want to show you what I've put together. So I've put together a Zap and a spreadsheet, and I'd like to go through this with you. I don't know if this will work. I really hope it will. So let's get to it and see if this actually works. So first thing I want to share with you is this is a sample spreadsheet that I've created. And so I put my name and my email and the course name, and let's say completed requirements. This could be yes or no or partially or whatever. And let's say all of these are automatically filled or filled over time. You can create this spreadsheet in any way that you want. There's no one right way to do it. But having a spreadsheet that's automatically filled will obviously also help you avoid that human error. But then I come and I review and I say, okay, so she's completed all the requirements. So yeah, I want to change that. And I have a drop down here, yes or no, right? I'm not going to mark that quite yet. So now this is our spreadsheet set up. Now let's go to Zapier. So what I've done here is a new or updated spreadsheet row, and I'm going to look at the trigger here. This is where you select what happens in the account. But here, this is untitled. There we go. It's changed. The names in Zapier don't really mean anything. What you need is, what matters is the ID of the sheet, and that you can see here, this ID, right? This. So if I change this name, it will change in Zapier as well. It doesn't really matter. Worksheet, currently it says sheet 0, but sheet 1, but I've updated it. So in a minute, this will update. There you go, client data. As you can see, that's client data. And if I change things in Zapier as well, because this is sheet 0 or sheet 1, right? You can see sheet 0, sheet, oh, I gave it a different name, not 1, but okay, no different number. And the trigger column for me is eligible because I want this Zap to trigger only when this column changes. Otherwise, it's going to trigger every single time. I can choose if it triggers every time a new row is updated or every time a new row appears, or just based on one column. I'm going to do just this column. So for me, it's eligible, but you could call this column whatever you want. But you could basically have, okay, I've reviewed it, email ready to be sent. Check. Then just mark an X. Right? But this is a great way to trigger your Zap, sort of by just putting some sort of trigger here in this column, and that will trigger the Zap and cause it to run. And so I tested this bit already, so it should, here we go, that's my information, right? I can't load more because there's no information, but we'll do that in a minute. We'll try and add another row. You know, let's do that now. So if we try and add another row, and let's just call this Jane Smith test at test.com. Let's say, again, we're running, this would be puzzle making and completed the requirements, let's say no. Okay. So if I do load more, it will find, this is, oh, because I changed, it's finding this again, but here we go, Jane Smith, test.test.com, puzzle making, and I'm going to stick with my first, first example. And what I've done here is I've split it into paths. Paths is a paid feature in Zapier. And so you may not want to run paths. I do because I want a different email for those that are eligible and those that are not eligible. But you could also do this in separate, just with a filter and then in separate Zaps if you want to work around the path. This is a very cool feature that Zapier has. It basically says, if, then do this, and if something else, then do that. It's not quite if then, it's not quite an if then split in the flow chart, but it basically says, okay, it's one path. If this happens, then do something else. So I have two different paths, and one I've created and one I haven't. I left that link on purpose. So let's just run quickly through what I've already created. So this is for the eligible, and the test that I've done here is I've filtered on the eligibility column. So is column, right? You choose a column here, and I chose the eligible column. Does it contain yes? And then when I test this, to continue and test, it'll say, nope, didn't pass it because it's still blank, right? It's still missing that value. But that's okay. I expected that. That's what I expected. And then I do close, and let's go here, send email in Gmail. This is a really cool option that you have, and there's so many things that you can set up here. So to, I basically define the to as whatever's in the email field. And then I can have multiple people this is sent to. I can define a CC. I can define BCC, right? So if you always want a staff member to also be CC'd or BCC'd on any of your emails, this is where you would do it. You can define it from. So this is my Gmail account, obviously, but you have multiple from options in your Gmail account, like I do. You can choose which address you want it to be sent from. And this is the really nice thing, you can define who it appears from, right? So I don't want it just to have my name. I also want it to have the name of the course for me. So currently I wrote Zapier 101, but if I delete this and I put the course name, it will appear in the from. And reply to, if you have an address that you want it to reply to, that's where you would put it. Subject, I wrote Zapier, but I would actually, instead of putting the name, because I have multiple courses, I would put the name of the course. So your Zapier 101 certification, or it would be puzzle making certification, or whatever your course name is. Body type in the Gmail has two options. You can have plain and you can have HTML. I'm going to start with plain, and then we'll work our way up to HTML as we move forward. So this is hi, and I can put any information from here. So I could put first name, last name, any information that I have from the Excel sheet into here. We just wanted to let you know that you've successfully completed your certification, and then let's say and then the name of the course. So let's insert here the name of the course name. You can ask us your certificate at here, and then my address, and then wishing you all the best. Name, wonderful. Now I can add a signature. I don't use one at the moment, so I'm not going to put that, but you could definitely put in your logo and any contact information or anything that you already have set up. This is what you've set up on Gmail in advance. You could automatically label these. So basically, if you're filing things away, this would be where you will file them away. This is just sample, so I'm not really going to use that, but this would be a great way to keep your inbox and your sent items organized, right? Always think in advance, always think ahead. Don't leave manual work. You can do this now. You can do this automatically. This label could potentially trigger other processes that are happening in the back end. It could update tables. It could update other team members. It could update projects in your project management tool. It could update information in your CRM. You could automatically have processes run based on labels going on in your inbox. But we digress. And attachments. So if I add an attachment of some sort of diploma that I wanted to attach. That would be great. We talked about accountants before. If you have some sort of form that you want your customers to fill in, this is where you would attach it. You can attach an actual file, or you could just put a link to a Dropbox or a Google Drive or any other external URL, public URL that they can download it from. So this makes it easier. They get the file as an attachment, even though you put in the URL. And now I'm going to do continue. And next, this is a test that I said before, but we're going to test this again, test and review. And if I go to here and I refresh this, because I expect to see this, but this because this is filtered, you may not see it. Basically, I expect to see a new email with this information. And the beauty of this is that it will look like any other email that I've sent out. Of course, assuming this actually loads. So while this is loading, I can just tell you that having a process like this in place doesn't necessarily mean you have to send it through Gmail. I've done it through Gmail, but you could add a customer to an automation, and the automation can be filtered based on whatever tags that you want to add, or based on other information that you pass through to your email service provider. And so I'm doing this through Gmail now because this is useful to me and very useful to others and very easy to set up. But if you have ActiveCampaign or MailerLite or any of the hundreds of ISPs that are out there, this is where you could actually, instead of sending an email, you could just tag them, and then the email would be a lot maybe less personal. I don't know, maybe more personal, because you'd have all this information that you've already collected from them before. So it really depends on how you use it. So I'm going to go into this email. Hi, Reed. We just wanted to let you know that you've successfully completed your certification for Zapier 101. You can access your certificate here, and wishing you all the best. Wonderful, right? Sounds really simple. Now let's take it one step further. Let's go to our next path. We're going to set this up, and we'll call this not eligible. Continue. And only continue if this is our filter, right? I use contains rather than exactly matches because sometimes it's sensitive. There's some formatting and it doesn't work, so I just prefer to use contains, but if you want exactly matches, that's fine. This is also not going to pass because it's currently empty, so that's fine. See, it's missing value, which is fine. That's what I expected. We'll fix that in a minute when we run the Zap. And then action, I'm going to go Gmail, and the action that I want to select is send email. Continue. I'm going to run this. And now we're going to set it up. So once again, R2 is going to be the email that we take, the email column from the Excel sheet. And then skipping over the BCC from, I have two options here. So I'm going to do it from this email. And then you could also manually insert an email there, but as long as you verified the account, it has to be connected. So kind of complicated. From, so once again, I'm going to write, maybe that's my name, right, for the sender, but then I also want the course name. No reply to, we're still call this, we're still saying information in order to certify you for, and the name of the course, 101. Now, this time I'm going to do HTML. I want to show you something very, very nice. So, hi, first name. Everybody knows you can automate first name, right? That's just obvious. We're sorry to say that the deadline, maybe not, we're sorry to say, let's just give them more time. Deadline for certification in course name ends tomorrow. I'm writing tomorrow, but if we had a field in the Zapier, in the spreadsheet, we could actually put a date in there, and that could be dynamic, right? So the deadline for certification ends tomorrow. You are still missing some information. Again, if we had what they were missing as part of the Excel sheet, we could insert that there and say you are still missing A, B, C, D, and E. All right. You are therefore currently not eligible, must be, for a certificate. If you want more information, or if you want to submit, or again, whatever your call to action is, you can find it here. Now, instead of putting a URL, right, like we did before we just did HTTPS, and then my website, just let's take a discussion here. Is, whoops, is what we're going to do now. I'm going to cut this text. Now we're going to add some HTML code. This is very basic HTML code. Anybody can do this. So the tag that does linking, if you don't know, is called an A tag, an href. So tags in HTML are like this. They're like that open and close bracket. And then we do href equals, paste the address, close the tag, and then close the tag like that. So we have an open A and a close A, and in between we have the address. So what I expect to see here, if my HTML is correct, I haven't done HTML in a while, is basically this will be linked. I look forward to hearing from you. Now, this, I mean, you could do so much more in this email. This email, I would just fill it with information, what they're missing, when the deadline is, and all this information can all be as part of that Excel sheet that we were talking about, that we showed you before. So that's that. No signature, no label, no attachment. But again, if you want to attach it, you can say here you must submit this form by tomorrow. It's attached, etc. Continue, and I'm going to test this in a minute. Test and review. Okay, so Gmail is test, sent, and let's go here. I'm going to refresh this page. Now, while this is refreshing, I'm going to go back here and show you what we can add. So to here, we can add so much information. We can add what they submitted, what they didn't submit. We can add, any empty fields we can mark in some way. We can have a date that's just anywhere, that's filled up anywhere, right? So this could be final date, and then put a date here, right? And then always when we want to talk about the date, we can refer to this field. So this is very, very useful when you want to send an email that has a lot of information that's very dynamic. And the information can be different. Instead of doing a final date here, you can actually create a column and call it final date for submission. And then they submit it here, and then you write the date. And again, you put the date based on, it's different for each person. Now, the more you automate and think in advance, the more you have your process set in advance and you know what information you need from the data sheet, the more your data sheet will be set up in advance. But don't worry, even if you change things around, you can always update them later in Zapier. Zapier relates to columns based on their name. Sorry, based on their number, right? So eligible is F. It's column F. So if you change this and put something else in column F, every time we've referred to eligible, it's not going to move automatically. We're going to have to update that manually. So this is taking forever to load, so I can't show you the new email, but hopefully it will arrive at some point. And while it's loading in the meantime, I can just share with you that having something like this in place will save you so much time sending emails to everyone. And you can use this in your workflows for email marketing. You can use this in your work for student support. You can for employee support. You can use this so many ways in business and in general and wherever you are. It's just a matter of finding the right application for it, finding the right way to apply it, and understanding that that application will have effects later on. So Gmail isn't loading. What I think we'll just do is we'll stop here. But basically, when we turn on, you know what I can show you is, no, it's not going to work. So what will happen is once we turn on the Zap, the email will change and happen once, like right after we change the eligibility column to yes or to no. Oh, in here. So I see that the Gmail has loaded. Let me share that with you. Yeah, you should be able to see it now. So here we go. We're still missing some information in order to certify you for Zapier 101. Right now, the additional advantage of using an email marketing tool rather than Gmail is that you have that preview text that you can edit. It's a little snippet that you see before you go in. So hi, read the deadline for certification. Now notice that there's no other formatting here, right? Because we defined this as HTML and we didn't define paragraphs. So that's why this isn't working. We have to define paragraphs in HTML, but I'm not going to go back and fix that right now. I think you got the basic idea. And basically what you can see, or what you saw from this video, is that there's so much that you can do as long as you plan in advance. And Zapier allows you to integrate and create automations that, yes, they are personal and not just first name. Data that you want to have personalized, you can use in an Excel spreadsheet to be numbers and dates and any other information that you can think of, basically. And then you just put that in, and it's like a custom field in an ESP. And so it basically just gives you all the data that you want. I really hope that you will find applications that you use this for, because having this in place can save you so much time, and really will make your life easier. And you know, I think that's what we're all about, just to make life easier. So thank you all for joining me. Bye.